All right. Hello, everybody. We're back at Speed Stuff for charity. I have two very special guests with me. First off, I'm happy to introduce Andy Duran, CEO of Lead. Say hi, Andy.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for your support this weekend. We really appreciate it.
And then with me, someone you may recognize from
You can't
this
get
weekend.
rid of me.
That can't get rid of. Is Nate Biggs, prevention consultant at Lead. Hi, Nate.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
And Chief Nerd. We forgot that part.
And Chief
That's
Nerd.
right.
Okay.
I didn't give that one up.
So it has been 4 days. My brain is still not totally figuring out where we are right now. It's been 4 days. We've had a lot of different segments. We did interviews with Nate earlier this week. We had a trivia game that went very poorly for everyone on Saturday. We've had plenty of games and runs from all of you out there. I know some of you are watching right now and want to give you a big thank you. And we still have a little bit more to go. But before we get to our finale, which is going to be the Metroid randomizer that you guys have voted on with your donations, we wanted to take this time to kind of wrap up, talk a little bit with Lead about what they do, and kind of give you guys a better sense of what they're all about. So I guess we'll start with for Andy. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about? I mean, obviously, I introduced you as CEO, but can you tell us a little bit about your role at Lead and like kind of how you got involved?
Yeah, definitely. And thanks again for having us on today. Really good to connect with you all. So I've been at Lead 10 years, and Lead started as a small community-based organization working in one community to try to offset the underage drinking and health issues having. And we've grown significantly in the past 10 years, where we have employees in various parts of the country and programs all over the country and service people all over the country. And so my role as CEO is really to try to envision where we go next, and really trying to forecast what people need before they know they need it. So we look ahead and looking at the struggles that young people and adults might be having today, try to forecast what those things are and set up a really and their holistic health.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of challenges facing young people out there. I know when I was, in my teens and going through high school and all that, it would have been awesome to have more resources. I know you guys are pretty proud of your Text for Help app. If you can explain that a little bit better than maybe we have, we've been kind of giving them the overview, but I think I'm not sure if people totally understand or realize like how big of a resource that is.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to do that. So, Text for Help is a 24/7 crisis text line that we founded. Actually, we created internally in response to death by suicide we had in our community in a span of just 87 days. We have our local high school.
Oh wow!
Suicide in less than 87 days, and this is actually the reason I took the job at Lead that 10 years ago. And we're looking at ourselves like, what is it that our kids need that they're clearly not getting? There's clearly something happening here So one of the many things that we worked on together and did was to create a text line that operates slightly differently than what you might hear with 988 or with the crisis text line or some of the other ones that are out there. We're still the only one in the country that offers 24/7 support by only licensed health professionals. Anybody texts any of our lines any time of day or night, they're going to get a response in under 3 minutes from a licensed counselor, which is kind of unheard of. What that enables us to do is to be by pretty significant support in those cases that are a little more serious in nature, trying to get somebody out of kind of a darker place into a more cool, calm place, get them to that next layer of care within it. So it's been a labor of love by all of us. I think Nate would say the same thing. And we have some really, really great people that are responding. Even in the course of time that we're on this stream, kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. I mean, you said 3 minutes, which is honestly pretty remarkable. You know, I think everyone would probably agree that in some situations, time is really of the essence. And I
And when
know,
Andy says 3 minutes, that's on the far outside. Usually it's within a few seconds that our
yeah,
clinicians are able to pick up and text. We actually have it set up so they can be just about anywhere, and actually our clinicians can respond from their phones, fully encrypted and confidentially. So,
right.
we're able to keep as many folks available as possible to respond quickly.
And I imagine as lead nerd, Nate, that you may have had a little bit to do with some of that back end.
A little bit.
A
Actually,
little bit.
Andy did an incredible job of setting this thing up the first time. If I recall properly, back in 2012, the technology didn't really exist to do a crisis text line. And so he ended up like hacking together an old Motorola system that was used for like fire departments. Is that right,
Oh
Andy?
wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So Motorola want. You're asking how we did it? Hacking away in the big out, but it started at
Yeah.
it works, but 8.0 3.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it a bit this weekend. But anyone in chat would like to learn a little bit more about the Text for Help .app. You can go to Lead's website at linkingefforts.com/text for help -app. That's committed to memory.
Wow.
The linking
You know better than I do.
.com/text for help -app. What an incredible, powerful tool. I mean, we in my local community, we had, especially with some of the kids who were like younger than I was at the time, who maybe were in high school after my time. We also kind of had a weird period of time where there were several like younger kids who unfortunately passed away all in a short span of time. And part of that was suicide, but part of that was also due to overdoses on substances that they were abused to. Like my local community had a lot of, specifically with heroin, had a crisis with that. And I know you guys do prevention. Obviously, the name is Linking Efforts Against Drugs. And I know Nate the other day started kind of saying it's like, it's not like, some people will hear that and think like, oh, that's cheesy, right? What is different about Lead's approach to substance abuse prevention versus maybe other organizations out there?
About that, I don't know. Most of you are probably younger than I am, but you would dare you think of that. They know we're more than that. I think we've acknowledged that we really need to get down to the root causes why people might choose to use it in the first place. And I think a philosophical approach that we took many years ago was we stopped looking at supply. So, if you look at law enforcement, the war on drugs, that sort of thing, it really targeted supply. It targeted drug dealers, get drug dealers off the streets, and we'll be drug free.
Right.
That proved not to work. So we started targeting demand. We started targeting, what is it about going on in our communities, going on with people that would, if someone's having to cope with something with life that happens and they're turning to a substance, how can we make that better for them before they turn? If we can put some things into place to for primary prevention and some intervention tools in place that will give people support when the moment they need it, then maybe it won't turn to the next thing. So we started targeting demand rather than supply, and then as we started talking about that and having some success, a lot of organizations around us started to say that's really the number one thing I can point to in terms of kind of the universal philosophy that's different. I think also, when Nate's cooler than I am, but when we go into schools and talk with kids, we talk with parents, we're able to frame those messages in a way where it's not judgmental, where it's not just saying no, where it's actually, hey, here's the reality. We're going to be real with you. Like, this is what we know. No judgment here. But let me tell you what the future looks like if you can remain drug free. And I think that's kind of what we a very forward focused approach is what we tried to do.
And I
Yeah,
want
and
to highlight what Andy said there just at the end, because I think sometimes it's easily missed. A lot of substance prevention efforts may highlight the downsides of negative choices. This is what's going to happen if you use pick a drug. You know, it's all about the consequences, and can at times be that scare tactic. But really, where modern prevention comes in, and this is not unique to LEAD, this is something that we do and many partners that we work with, but really it's highlighting the upside of positive decisions. What if you choose to be drug free? What if you choose, to find healthy coping strategies? What could happen that could go right for you?
yeah. I do think that's very significant because like you said, it's usually scare tactics, or it's kind of like this maybe if you are going through something like that and people are maybe talking down to you or like trying to scare you with it, I feel like that's like the motivation in you yourself to actually like get help, or to maybe look at quitting some of these substances is it's much higher barrier to get through. I feel like kindness is probably a lot more effective. People just don't like being treated like talked to like they're horrible or something. And I think some of those other programs do make people feel like bad about themselves to the point where they're like, well, I can't do this.
And I mean, it's our hope that we're not here to dump on other programs. And honestly, I don't know that there are many programs out there that are still doing that sort of approach, that kind of patronizing, scare tactic approach. I mean, even, we even use DARE as an example, but it's DARE of the past. That program's been revamped and focuses on strengths and benefits as well. And I think the reason I bring that up is not to necessarily be nice for any other reason than I think there's a perception around prevention that we're still back in the 80s of like that frying pan, this is your brain on drugs, like infomercial. Whereas really as a field, we've matured quite a bit. And actually LEAD's name, you mentioned it, linking efforts against drugs, is something that we haven't really been able to give up because it is part of our history, but it's indicative of that 30 years ago style of prevention where the focus is on being against or the negative of drugs rather than the upside of your positive decisions. And I think the way that LEAD is today is more typical of other prevention organizations, not that we are an exception and everyone else is still doing what we think of when we think of old school prevention.
Yeah, I mean, I think and I'm assuming this isn't intentional, and correct me if it's not, but your website is not linking efforts against drugs, it's linking efforts, and that's kind of like the that's kind of the yeah. That's the idea.
A long conversation about that. Where that is part of our history. It's how like people know us. We love the name LEAD for a variety of reasons. We can help these from complex problems into complex solutions. But so the AD part of our we've talked about quite a bit. But it is one reason why our brand is more linking efforts. We want to link efforts and the community and link efforts together to bring support to people in their needs. So I think Nate said that really well, though, is that the field has changed, which is a good thing. The field has changed.
And you mentioned, so you guys function at a national level, but you also have individual, I know you have offices in different places and you've helped individual communities. What is your difference in approach for handling something at a community level versus something that's more generally at a national level? Like, what is that like?
That's a great question.
This is Andy's bread and butter.
Good.
I think two things here. I think a personal leadership philosophy of mine is people support what they help to create. So, we're not coming in as the guys with all the answers, the organization that does everything right, or the organization that did this here, so it'll work here. It's not like that. What we're really good at is engaging the right partners, telling the story effectively, and inspiring people to actually want to do something to create change. And I think in our local community, the relationships that we have are what's helped driven success for us. So, if I wanted to get our mayor, police chief, school superintendents, and whoever else in the room, it would take one email and they'd be there whatever day I asked, and we've been sort of able to help other communities to replicate that, to say, look, if you really give people, not just fake it, but really give people a voice in this and help them to create the future that we want to see, they're going to be much more willing to support it. So I think that relationship building, that not being afraid to ask people of influence to be influential, that's a key thing. A lot of leaders who are people of influence just aren't influential, and kind of setting an example for that and creating the opportunity for people to do that. And then approaching it with the organized scientific in a scientific way that says, hey, if we do this, this, and this, we might see some behavior change. I think just requiring that reality is tried to do. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Nate, but that's my general high level philosophy.
No, I mean, I learned a lot of this stuff from you. The community level organizing, the coalition building. I think one thing that I've learned from working at LEAD in particular, and from other prevention organizations that I've been with in the past, is that this work is hyper local. We can be a national organization. We can deliver services like Text for Help at kind of a national level, but
Right.
ultimately the changes in behavior, if you want to get anyone to change, if you want to influence anybody, it truly is hyper local, in that you're working with the people in the community that you want to affect. I could take something that works in Lake Forest, which is where LEAD is based out of, and try and copy and paste that in some other town, in another state. we work with some folks in Roll, and it doesn't work. It's not going to work if you copy and paste the same policies or copy and paste the same products of the work that's done in Illinois, unless you engage the people in the community, the ones that may have titles. They may be people who are mayors or whatever, but they could just be people who are influencers. The lady down the street that everybody knows her name.
Right.
If you're not engaging those folks, you're not making the sort of change that LEAD works towards.
So it's really a personalized sort of approach for each community, because every community is different, has different needs.
Yeah.
Being able to go in and help communities understand, do a needs assessment. Really, what are your needs? A lot of times, if you can help people through that process, they'll come up and they'll be able to really, yes, we have too many kids drinking, but that's not.
Right.
That's too big of a rush for you to handle. We've got to drill down into that and say why here, and I think that thinking about that and just getting people to articulate the knowledge you already know has been a big piece of our work.
Yeah, I think also too, just something in general, just about people, is just people generally can tell if you are authentic or if you're not, and I think having that personal kind of connection with the community shows people that you're actually here to do something. We wanted to ask you, Andy. I'm used to saying Nate. What does your typical kind of workday look like at LEAD? I mean, being a CEO has a lot of responsibility. So
yeah, what I love about this job and why I've been in it for so long is that every day is different. And yes, there are always responsibilities. You got to make sure the bills get paid. You got to make sure you're bringing enough money in. You got to make sure you're supporting your people. You got to make sure your tech is up to date, and you're establishing a vision and moving people towards it, and all that happens daily. But our job is different every day. I even just look at last week. One day I was down in Florida doing a keynote for a large conference of prevention leaders in Florida, and then the next day I was in a small school in a health class, and the next day I was meeting with community leaders. The next day I was finishing a grant report. So it's like it's what I've had to do in this job is really learn how to triage and prioritize, and every day looks different. But that's what I love about it, because I still love being in front of students. I still love being in front of community leaders. I still love being able to be present and not having the administrative tasks just take over those things. So every day is different. And then of course there's always crises, with the nature of the work that we do. It's not uncommon that we are all collaborating on a certain pace, where we need to find support for a student. Maybe it's getting them into a treatment center that says they have no beds. Maybe it's getting them into a counselor that says they have no appointments till November. Maybe it's getting into whatever it is, but taking individualized case by case and saying, okay, what stone can I overturn? What connection can I use? What favor can I ask to be able to get this particular person or family the support they need at this particular time? And I think that's one thing that sets us apart is that it's not acceptable when someone needs help in September to have them wait till November for an appointment with a counselor. It's not acceptable to have someone that's ready for to enter the recovery process from substance use. It's not okay for them not to have a bed. Like, we've got to do better. So I think it's just really motivating people to say, no, work harder to find a bed, And I think so that's actually the stressful, but also the exciting part of the job is you never know when those are going to happen. And you don't stop until you get the solution you're looking for.
Yeah, that is a really good point because I've known people who have, maybe not for specifically for drugs or substance related stuff, but any kind of mental health, who maybe have been inclined at a point to look into getting help, and it's just they can't, for whatever reason. There's no one's available. It's not, there's no bed there, insurance doesn't cover it. Like, there's so many different reasons. So it's amazing to be able to kind of make what we do have more efficient. And then two, I just wanted to ask you real quick. So, whoops, lost my thing there for a second. So we've had people going for the past few days for Speed Stuff for Charity. This is technically Speed Stuff for Charity 9. We've done a bunch of different charities and events before, and something that we like to ask to our contacts is just what does donating to LEAD, to your organization, what does that do for you guys? How does that help you do what you do? What kind of programs does that go into?
Yeah, it's a great question. We operate really lean, where we're a small team that does a lot of work, and we put everything that we gain back into the people and the programs that actually bring results to communities. So, every time of year is different in this regard, and every amount of money that we get, goes to something else. But we for $2,000 or $3,000, that funds a month of a clinician on our line. So if you think about what that could do, that could actually help for 30 days one licensed counselor to be on our line for an entire month, in shifts, an entire month, to support young people in real time, any time of day or night. So we've really invested in people more than we have stuff, more than we have. We write our own stuff, we do our own tech. We've really found a way to. I remember when I was thinking about writing tech, the first iteration of Text for Help, and looking at hiring a developer, I'm like, well, forget that. I'm not, learn how to do it, and we're very much like that, where every resource we have is so important, and so important to supporting the people that we do, that we don't just hang on to our funds, we invest them back into the work. That's what we've done for now, a decade.
Right. So I guess as of right now, let me check real quick. So as of right now, we are at a total of $2,172.93.
That's awesome.
And we still have more marathon to go. We have one more segment after this, which is pretty lengthy. It'll be around 3 hours long. So it's not the final total, but is there anything that you want to say to the people who have been donating and watching the past couple of days?
Yeah, there's lots I want to say. First of all, thank you. You could have picked any charity, and the fact that you were willing to partner with us, means more than I could probably ever say in these with you. I'll say I know how important gaming is to your community, and how important it is the community that you all have, and the fact that you'd be able to and people do these things all the time, but the fact that you'd be able to use that for something good is really great. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us and our staff and the people that we serve. Thank you for your support, and for investing in us through the investment of your time and skill, which I think is pretty cool. So just a huge thank you for that. And if there's anything we can ever do for you or your families, please know that we're here. We all know somebody who struggles with substance use, struggles with mental health. If there's anything we can do to help you navigate through the system, to get you or a loved one support in a moment of crisis, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me directly, and would love to do that. So
Yeah, that's very much appreciated. Thank you. I think everybody, who's been working the past few days, whether people have donated, whether people have, been here with their time, or simply people who have just kind of hung out with us and enjoyed the show, maybe spread it around on social media and stuff like that. We've been very lucky for this event, and working with you guys is always good. It's such a good experience, so we appreciate that as well.
Is the fact that you're talking about us and telling people what we do, and engaging your own communities into getting to know who we are, so that we can help. So that's who we are. We're helpers, and I think even just aside from the money raised, which is great and helpful, it's just raising awareness about that this is a real issues, and bring some solutions.
Yeah, I want to point out very quickly too, chat has been watching with us, and they have been very much wanted to offer their thanks for the work that you do, not only as an organization, but both of you individually and specifically. So thank you.
Awesome.
I do want to shout out, if I can, just a little bit. I want to say thank you. Andy's thanked the folks for having conversations about us, and for those who have given. Thank you so much to all the people who gave their time to this event. Seeing all of the hosts that jumped through stream by stream, all of the runners, sharing your talents. I love, gaming for me has been since, for anyone who heard my story on Friday, has been one of my safe, happy places, one of the places that I'm able to go to cope with, the world when it gets overstimulating and stressful and whatever. And to know that there are communities like this, and similar to the gaming communities that I'm a part of, this is also an act of prevention, of being in a community, of coming together around something, of spending time with people that you care about, and volunteering. Not only are folks donating to lead, but you're also participating in ultimately our mission, just by enjoying yourselves this weekend. And so I hope you all don't take that lightly, and I hope you all have had a great time, and continue to enjoy where the rest of this show goes and whatnot, because we're glad to see that this happens, and are really proud to be a part of it for whatever you invite us to be.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. I think you are right in that, we all come together to put this sort of show on, and not just this specific marathon, but there are other organizations and communities out there who put events like this on for various causes, or for various reasons, or even just for fun, pretty often. And there is a sense of community and friendship, and people kind of uniting towards a common goal. It's meaningful, it's purposeful, and like anything else, we've had our ups and downs this weekend. Any event will, and everyone here has stuck with us and has helped us, and now we're here, and we're almost done, and it's a good thing. So before I let you guys go, I'm gonna ask Andy real quick, what is your background with gaming? We talked a little bit before we started about a certain game that you've been playing lately.
Yes. My gaming history pretty much revolves around one game, and it's EA Sports Madden. I'm a huge sports fan, athlete, and from the time I was very, very little, the only reason I wanted to get I guess that was a Super Nintendo at the time, was for Madden. And I grew up playing it. It's what helped me learn the game of football, and it's still the game that I play more than anything else. I don't know if that counts, but
I think it counts.
It's a game, man.
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Use a controller.
I recently advanced from rookie to pro, so I guess that's good. I think there's still 2 levels. There's rookie, pro, Madden, and all Madden, or something like that. So gotta let it go.
Next year we'll get Andy or his daughter to do a speed run of either Madden or NHL.
So she'll beat me in that, yeah.
We actually have had someone in the past who does, I believe it's NCAA football 2005.
2005. Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
they do.
2005. Yeah.
Specifically
Wow.
2005. It's
So
very
it's
silly.
What's interesting is NCAA 2005 and NHL 94, believe it or not, are the two, like, among really big sports fans. So the two games that, in fact, on the new NHL for PS4 and 5, there is an old, you can play NHL 94 on one of those
Oh yeah.
back to the original, like, whatever 16-bit 8-bit graphics that they had. So there's a whole culture of so no, that's my and what was really cool is that my brother, who lives in Pittsburgh, and I are able to connect once in a while and play Madden against each other, which is something I couldn't do because I'm older, something I couldn't do when I was in college. So
Nice.
it's pretty cool to be able to connect with people that way.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's, all about. And I think some people are like, oh, he just plays Madden, or oh, he just, whatever. Like, people play games and have fun with each other. That's all that matters. Like, it doesn't matter.
We don't need to gatekeep gaming.
Exactly.
We've been kept out of enough because of our love of this. We don't got to keep people out. Andy, there's a question in the chat for you.
Yes, there
favorite
is.
sport and team?
Oh gosh, favorite sport to play is baseball. My favorite team of all teams is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a Pittsburgh fan in every shape and form. So Pirates, Penguins, Steelers are my teams. But this time of year is, right when football season is about to start, the new rosters come in. Download the new rosters and I play a few games to see how the Steelers might do this season. So that's those are my teams.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up with this. I'm going to have Nate answer this first, and then you, Andy. Is there any other comments or any other anything else about Lead, or about anything that you guys do, or anything else that you want to share with our community before we go that maybe we haven't touched upon, or you maybe want to drive home? I think we have over 250 people watching right now, so no pressure.
Nope, no pressure. Not the largest audience that Andy or I have ever been in front of, but it's a good size.
It's practice, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
probably the most geographically spread out, I would bet. I don't think we've had a group of people together in one room that have been as far spread out as I suspect your community might be. What I would say is nothing that hasn't already been said beyond just the gratitude that we have for you, Clay, for Ness, for everyone else that has kind of kept this thing running. It's super cool to see anything that's been going for 9 years. I mean, you all, or what was it? Was it 8 years? Because I think you did a couple years.
There was
sessions
one
in a
that
row.
was like they doubled up or something.
But y'all have been doing this almost as long as Andy has been at Lead, which I just think is kind of neat.
That's funny. Yeah.
And I do want to shout out just the rest of our team at Lead. We have most of our staff are on our staff page on our website, but for primarily confidentiality reasons, we don't list who our clinicians are. But I by far want them to be called out as really the heroes of our team in many ways, because they're the ones that are answering those texts in the dark of 2 a.m. Taking care of the people that we hope to serve. So I want to continue to shout out to the folks who are running our lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, Andy?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Nate, because I totally agree. That's what keeps us going. I would say, just echo Nate's gratitude, and furthermore, I think even just creating this community that you have for people that can come in and be themselves and play their games and just have a place to be themselves. And that's what we just want for our young people. We want our young people to be confident in who they are and find your community where you can be you. And I think the example you're all setting is, so I don't know how old everybody is, but is probably mostly people younger than me, but I think that's a great lesson for everybody's, be you. You don't have to be somebody else, and find your community that supports that. And I think that's what what I've gotten to know about you two over, your team over the past couple of years, is that very much seems to be at the heart of what you do. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah, I think possibly the youngest person that has done something for this event has been early to mid-teens, and it goes all the way up to people I'm like 31. I know there are people who've helped us who are a little bit older than that, so there's a range. There's definitely a range. It's okay. Usually in this community, it's me, and they all make fun of me for it. So I guess that's fine. Thanks. Yeah. Last quick thing. There's a podcast as well. If anyone is interested, can you just tell me very briefly about that?
Sure. Yeah, that's the Linking Efforts podcast, wherever podcasts are found. Lately, it has been myself and our resident therapeutic expert, Jen Martin. She's based out of Ireland, so you get two very different voices. And actually, we've been thinking, we were wondering if there's anyone on your staff that would be interested in coming on for an episode with us, just to kind of talk about really your story. I mean, we've been here talking about us. You've been celebrating late. It's been very, very nice. We'd love to learn maybe the story of speed stuff and highlight what you all do. So if you're interested, hit me up offline and we'll grab a spot with you to come talk on our show.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. Very much appreciate the invite.
Then we start every show, at least the ones Nate and I are hosting together. We start every show with me having to answer a video question and Nate having to answer a sports question, and that's entertaining in itself. And
I never do well. To be fair, our questions are gentler than the trivia questions you gave us on Saturday.
Than what I put you through on Saturday, yeah.
Question. So
yeah. Maybe. Maybe I'll prepare a Madden one for you for when we do it.
That'll be great.
All right. I am so thankful and happy that you both were able to join us here today and this weekend. Thank you again so much for your support. Thank you everyone who's watching this, who has watched, donated, hung out with us, volunteered, hosted, all the tech stuff. This would not have been possible at all without all of you. And we still have a little bit more of this event to go. See if we can get that donation total a little higher. But with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Andy and Nate, thank you again. And
thank you so much.
And we will be right back for that last game. So stay tuned.
Thanks, everyone.